fixing to send me a bass player soon. But we got something to praise God for this morning. I'm not going to try to make us out, but how many feels God's presence this morning? That's what happens when we get the woman with the issue of blood. She said, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, I'll be made whole. If we could just touch him. Wednesday night, I didn't get to hear your son sing. Would you sing for us this morning again? Wow, it's amazing what God's doing. The devil don't like it, but it's amazing about what God's doing. He's not dead. He's still alive. I serve a risen Savior. You know what? He's still in the healing business. He's still in the delivering business. He's still God. God. I'm excited about it. How many is excited about the future? But Brother Green, it don't look like it used to, and it don't look like. What? What? You don't see what's happening? You don't see what God's doing? Get your eyes off of the natural thing. Get your eyes on the prize. Get your eyes on the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. God's fixing to do something this now. He's fixing to do something this day and hour. We heard us sing a song that goes along with my preaching this morning. We about to get you blessed. Amen. I've never been about money. Never been about money. I had someone, now listen to me. If you're going to call and chew me out about something in the middle of the night, and God told you to do it, don't tell a lie. Because it's happened to me twice in the past 2 months. And the first time, it was God telling them to tell me, and they told a lie. And then last night, I got chewed out, and the person told me that I preached for money. And he lost me because, you know what? I don't do it for money. If you're going to tell me God's correcting me, don't tell a lie. Because God cannot lie. You know what? There's one impossible thing that God can do, and it's lie. And one thing that He gave us in the Bible, if you give, it shall be given back. It's not about your money, it's about your blessing. I go in on these churches all the time, and they don't have no crowd this big. And I go in there and they look on their board, offering $9,000, offering last Sunday $8,500, offering. Ours a lot lower than that. Sometimes it only need $100. But it ain't about money. But look what God's still doing down there in Guntersville. Give from the abundance of your heart or not, God's still going to bless. But what I'm trying to tell you today, if you want blessings in your life, give to God. I may not talk about that enough, and it's my fault because that's the very reason why I don't, because I don't want nobody to accuse me about money. But the Bible says that He loves a cheerful giver. Give unto the Lord. And you know what? He'll give back, Brother Jerry. We've seen it happen so many times. Start giving your best to God. Brother Jim, would you say the blessing over the offering today?
Amen.
Father, we got the Son. How many believes in him today? How many believes in the Son of God? We got a promise that whosoever shall believe in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. How many knows he loved us that much? we just let God have His way. I'm going to preach with these prayer cloths. So everyone that asks for a prayer cloth, Sister Mary, anybody that wants one, we're going to preach with a prayer cloth. Let me know after church. I want you to know that God loves us so much. How many believes that God has called me to pastor? Now, I don't want no glory or honor. That's not what I ask you. But I want you to understand something. When God calls you down a path, things and circumstances happen. Let me turn some stuff on. Have you ever had something that happened you just didn't understand? It just didn't make no sense. Why? Have you ever said, God, why? God, why? God, why? You got your Bibles? Turn with me. I'm going to get Brother Jerry after we get through preaching. It's good to have a preacher friend of mine, Brother Jerry, back there. Wonderful brother in the Lord. Let's testify. Good to have you, Brother Jerry. What a blessing. What an honor. You got your Bibles? Turn with the book of Ecclesiastes. The 3rd chapter. The enemy didn't want me to preach this morning. He's been dealing with me all week long. And I've been up almost all night long. But there's things that, how many wants me to just preach honestly and truthfully? I mean from the heart. I mean from the gut. I mean down deep. I want to be truthful. And to let you know right now, if you think that any pastor is a perfect human being, if you think that any preacher, any song leader, or any person in your flesh is perfect, and you don't need God, then Christ died in vain. How many understands each and every one of us needs the grace of God? Even Sister Aunt Karen, even in my righteousness, is just as filthy rags. And the sooner we understand that, the sooner we can let God use us. But we don't understand why things happen in our life. And I'm just going to be truthful today. In Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, the 1st verse, it says, to everything there is a season. Well, I've heard that before. To everything there is a season, and a season is a period of time characterized by an event. There is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. And purpose is a reasoning for something is done. There is a season. There is a season for an event to happen in my life that at the moment I don't understand. The 2nd verse said there's a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck up that which is planted. 3rd verse says a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to break down, a time to build up. 4th verse says a time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, a time to dance. A time to cast away stones. A time to gather stones together. A time to embrace. And a time to refrain from embracing. A time to get. And that's the part that we get disappointed in sometimes. How many ever wants to give me? I want to get it. There is a time that you're going to get it. There is a time when things seem like it's going to go your way. There's a time to get, and there is a time to loose. And this is the part that we don't understand when we're on the losing side in the flesh. We don't understand. How many's ever asked God, why? Why? I want y'all to get with me this morning.
Jesus.
A time to get, a time to lose, a time to keep, and a time to cast away, a time to rend in the 7th verse, and a time to sow, a time to keep silent, and a time to speak. 8th verse, a time to love, a time to hate, a time to war, a time of peace. What profit hath he that worketh in that wherein he laboureth? The 10th verse says, I have seen the travail which God hath given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. He hath made everything beautiful in his time. I like what it says. To be beautiful is very high and excellent, a standard of excellence, excellently. Everything will be beautiful in his time. I'm not going to preach long, but I'm going to tell you. Look over at the book of Proverbs, the 3rd verse. There's a season for every purpose. There's a season for everything that happens in your life. Proverbs, the 3rd verse, 3rd chapter, 3rd verse. I'll give you a second to turn there if you're going there in your Bible to write it down. Proverbs, the 3rd chapter, the 3rd verse. It says, let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck. Write them upon the table of thine heart. So shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. And the 5th verse says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not to thine own understanding. And the 6th verse says, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. And a path is a way of course or a direction, a course of action or conduct. How many knows God will direct your path? But God, I don't understand why this is happening to me. God, I don't understand. Don't worry about it. How many of you ever got tripped up on the understanding part? I don't understand why my mom died when I was 15. I don't understand why my dad went on to be with the Lord at an early age. I don't know why my brother died at 45 years old. It can weigh heavy on my mind if I let it. I don't understand. I don't have the answer, but the Word of God tells me I must lean to God for my understanding. I must lean to Him and acknowledge Him, because it's not my way, but God's way. I don't understand why everything is happening. In Isaiah the 55th chapter, the 8th verse says, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Have you ever tried to figure out God and say why? I'm going to preach to you honestly today and from the heart. And I ain't going to embarrass nobody, but it's about my life. You see, God takes us down paths that we don't understand. And we can spend all of our time thinking, God, why? God, why? God, why? And in our moment of whys, our doubt gets to creeping in and our faith gets low. And you know what? When our faith gets low, that which is without faith is sin. The enemy comes to kill, steal, and to destroy. And the way that he can destroy you is through your understanding. I don't understand. How many's ever said, God, I just don't understand? And I'm not going to preach on, but the book of Romans, 8th chapter, very familiar scripture. '28 verses said, and we know that all things work together for the good to them that love God, to them who are called according to His purpose. That's a mouthful right there. I don't understand God, but one thing that I do understand is that this thing that I'm going through is for His purpose and for my better plan. And He said, I know the thoughts I have for you. I have thoughts of good thoughts, not of bad thoughts, to give you an expected end. I know if you're in God's hand, He's not going to mishandle you. also did predestinate. Predestinate to be conformed to the image of His Son, that He might be the firstborn among many brethren. The 30th verse says, moreover, whom He did predestinate, then He also called, and whom He called, then He also justified, and to whom He justified, them He also glorified. What shall we say to these things? If God be for us, who can be against us? Now, I'm not going to try to make you shout today. But God started dealing with me that I've went through some terrible things in my life. Can I just preach from my heart this morning? It may be out, it might be off the record, it might be off the wall. I don't care, but I got to preach my heart. I didn't understand why my mom died at 15 years old. I've been on my own since I was 15 years old. Becky's been on her own since she was, 16, 17? We don't understand why the things happen in our life. And after our mom died, our dad was, have you ever met my dad? Wonderful pastor. But I want you to understand some things, that when you become a pastor, you would get put in a position that if you've never been a pastor before, you don't know what you're facing. Because I'm going to tell you something. When you become a pastor, you become the best looking guy in the world, I reckon. You think I'm making fun, but I'm telling you, all the women, here they come at you. How many knows a pastor that's failed by a woman? I do. I know. And why are you saying that? Because there's some things that happened in my dad's life that he went through, and God forgave him. How many knows that God forgives you? But I got news for you. Guess who don't forgive you? Can I say it? Let's say it real quick. Who don't forgive you? People don't. And when you make a mistake so bad, in God's eyes, there's no big sins, little sins. How many believes His blood's good enough for everything? His blood's good enough. It ain't lost no power. But I'm not going to try to embarrass Dina today. She knows it's just life. I'm going to preach about life today. Me and her got married, and we was married for almost 20 years. And we raised our kids, which is hard. I mean, raising the kids. And the struggles of life, you have so many pressures that come at you all the time. I'm not boring you. I'm fixing to get to the good part. You have pressures of life that come at you all the time. And then we had just barely got our kids old enough that they could come home by themselves. And then you know what God called me to be? Pastor. You look up and you see all the glamour and the glory, but it ain't there. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of your time. It requires a lot of dedication. It requires a lot of your soul. And it requires more than you're willing to give. If you're not totally sold out to it, it requires more than you're willing to give in the natural. I know so many preachers, and I'm just going to get to the point. As you get married, this is the same with your relationship with Christ. As you get married and when you first come to God and you find God and He fills you with His Spirit, I mean, you're so happy and you're so joyful. But after a time, we are the bride of Christ. After a time, you start taking Him for granted. After a time, me and her was married so long that we started taking each other for granted. And then when you start allowing things to come in, and you start having divisions that comes in your life, you know what else comes with it? Division brings on destruction. Me and her got married at a young age. And I'll just be honest with you, when you get married that young, the devil's always tempting you with stuff. You know what? Look at what you missed. Well, y'all looking at me like that? Yeah, I'm a human being too. The enemy talks to me too. He presents me with things too. And here I started pastoring a church, and we had done grown apart. I'm not embarrassed, it's just true. We had grown apart. And there came a time when one of us had to leave. And I'm not blaming her, we'll fix it after church if you're mad at me. But there come a time that she left the house. And at this moment in time, she left me. That I was so devastated. I was so heartbroken. I done lost my mom. I done lost my brother. I done lost my dad. I done went through so much hell. And you know what? Here we done went and we just lost our marriage. And it was so much pressure. Guess what? The first thing I said was, I don't understand. How long have we been divorced? 8 years. Going on 8 years. And for 8 years, I haven't understood why. For 8 years, and I started praying this week, and then God started talking to me, and boy, did it make my day. You see, I want you to understand something. My dad made a mistake, and he carried it to his grave, and he never did reach his full potential as a pastor because he had that reputation. If it had been me left, how many knows I would have carried that reputation around all my life? If it had to happen, how much did God love this church and love me to allow it to happen the way it did? Because if I'd done it, we could have overcome that reputation. I thought, my God, you love me so much that you allowed it to happen this way so I wouldn't pay for it. I didn't have to carry that reputation around. And because this church is so loving, she don't have to carry that reputation around. God loves us that much. He sees the future. I don't understand, but there is a reason for everything under the sun. There is a purpose for everything under the sun. And I almost shut down my shoes when I realized, God, it was going to happen anyway. It was either me or her. You know what? But you allowed her to do it because the church would have never survived that reputation. Am I hurting anybody's feelings? All these stick-in-the-mud Christians think they ain't never done nothing wrong. Let me tell you something. Every one of us needs the grace of God every day of our life. There's going to be a day that I wake up that I don't need the blood of Jesus. And I want to explain. Am I embarrassing? I want to explain something. This woman got mean with me. And that part I didn't understand. But now I understand. You see, I was hurt only losing her. She was hurt on not only losing me, but she was losing out on this church. And there's people sitting there right now that's made mistakes that people won't let them live that down, and they can't reach their full potential. God forgives you, but when you carry around that reputation of your ministry, how many of those people will clamp you down, and people don't understand. But God loved the house of salvation so much that 8 years ago, Brother Mike, I didn't know who you was, but he said, you know what, I'm going to do this for Brother Mike. 8 years ago, he didn't know I was going to know Brother Jim, but he said, you know what, Brother Jim, I love you so much that I'm going to allow it to happen the way I did, and here's why, because God loved us so much. And I got to thinking, why am I even in Guntersville, Alabama? The path that led me to Guntersville, Alabama started the moment when I didn't understand. Am I preaching something today? I'm preaching from the heart today. I'm telling you today, she might have got the blame for everything, but you know what? I wasn't perfect either. I had thoughts in my mind too, and if she hadn't left, I would have probably done it myself. Well, what do you, well, It's the truth. It's the truth. Because you don't understand what it's like to be a pastor and a pastor's wife and how hell come at you 24 hours a day and the phone ringing off the hook. I got a phone call at 1 o'clock this morning that kept me up at 3 o'clock in the morning and the person was screaming at me on the phone. You know what? You can't take that pressure if you ain't called by God. And God called me and He protected my reputation. Why? Because God loved us so much. I don't understand why, but there's a reason for everything. Isn't that wonderful? That God loved us so much. And the reason she kind of got a little mean with me is because not only was she missing me, when you walk away from God, church, you don't know how miserable. Am I telling the truth? When you lose what we got here and you take it for granted and you walk out on God and you walk away from God, and it causes pain, it's unbearable. But thank God that the love of Christ abides in the house of our salvation, and she can walk back through the doors and we can love each other and we can be a church family. We can forgive one another. If we don't forgive others, how many knows God won't forgive us? I don't understand. No, I do. How many would have been here if I'd had the reputation of cheating on, or what do you call that? What's a plain word for that? A polite word. How many would have been here if I'd had that reputation of a whoremonger? Nobody? If I'd had that reputation, would anybody be here? She ain't got no reputation, that's what I'm saying. But you see, when it's a preacher, it's magnified. If I stomp my toe, my foot's done been cut off. If I get a splinter in my finger, a knife done been stabbed in my back. You see, when it's a man of God, how many knows the enemy's out to kill? You know why the devil would like to destroy this one man? Well, who do you think you are? I'm nothing, but God called me to do a job. And because He called me to be a pastor, and because He allowed the things to happen in our life like it did, I didn't have to suffer that reputation. How many knows I don't have a black eye on me? How did God love me so much? It's because of my obedience to Him. We're all sitting in the house of God today. And just like Sister Jennifer, God spoke me to tell her right there, because of her obedience, God's bringing revival to her family. It's because your obedience, God will bring revival to yours. But God loved me so much that He didn't allow me to go through. You know why we're going to see the house of salvation packed beyond measure? It's because God didn't allow me to be the one. Then I'm not even embarrassed Him. It's no secret we got a divorce. But how God loves us. Come on. We in the house of God together today, church. And in the process of all that we went through, now when I see somebody else go through hell, can I just preach a few more minutes? I always said, you know what? If somebody tried to commit suicide, that's the stupidest thing in the world. I love myself if nobody else does. I didn't understand. But through my situation and through the pain, I was sitting at my kitchen table and my kids was in there and I had my shotgun in the bedroom and I was sitting there, I was fixing to go get the shotgun. I done imagine putting it in my mouth. I was going to wrap my mouth around it. I was going to blow my brains out because I done got to that point. I didn't understand how you can get to that point. I was always unfavorable of people that was at that point. But you know what? Now I know a sane man, a sane woman, you can go down to the bottom so fast that you can be in that same place. And God, in that moment that I was fixing to stick a gun in my mouth, oh my God, Brother Chris, the Holy Ghost shook me. Well, I don't believe that Aunt Karen was with me when I was holding my brother's hand when he died. And we was all in that room, and when he took his last breath, what shook me, Aunt Karen? The Holy Ghost shook me because I wanted to be awake. I wanted to be awake for him drawing his last breath. And I done dozed off. I didn't know anybody in the world. I knew Aunt Karen was sitting there beside me, but I thought she might have been asleep too. And right before he drew his last breath, God shook me. And right before I went and got that going and put in my mouth, guess what? God shook me. And he spoke to me. He said, I took you down so you could have compassion on someone else. I thought, God, I couldn't understand before, but God's got a plan. Yes, come on. You may not understand your situation. You might not understand the hell that you're going through, but God's got a plan for your life. And I like what Mordecai told Esther, said, God has saved you for a time such as this. God has saved me and Dina and this church for a time such as this. Without the reputation that if it was me, I'm no better than her. We both fell apart, didn't we? How many's ever got to that point in your marriage when you didn't want to go home sometimes? She ain't looking good, Jim didn't do it. You get to taking one another for granted. And in those for granted moments, the devil starts planting thoughts in your head. And a good looking woman go by, man, she's pretty. Well, you a married man, you ain't supposed to be doing that. Oh, don't tell me y'all ain't never whistled a man or woman. I know you don't need to tell me right now. But what I'm saying is, it's in those moments that I could easily have made a mistake. Hang on a second. I could have easily made a moment. I could easily make that mistake that would put a black eye on this church. And I love my dad with all my heart. I will fight you over in the flesh, I will. But my dad carried his mistake to the grave. He carried it to his grave, not by God. Not by God. There's a man right now in Tennessee that would love to be in our shoes right now. I ain't going to tell you his name or anything. He's a good friend of mine. But because he's made some mistakes, he's still a wonderful preacher. I mean, he can fire it up. But when you mention his name, the reputation always precedes his name. Am I making sense to you today? I know I'm boring. I know it's boring. I know it's quiet. But if you ever went through anything and asked God why, it took me 8 years to figure out why. So if anybody wants to down her, you got to down me, because you know what? It wasn't just her. It was me too. I mean, some of you tell me right now that I don't say you can live with me. I hope you understand what I'm trying to tell you today. You may be going through something today. Sister Jennifer, I'm not picking on you today. But didn't you go to one of them churches once you backslide, you can't never go back? Can I ask you, did you go to one of them churches once you backslide, you can't never come back?
Yes, sir, I did.
Where are you at today? You might not understand why you went through something to make you backslide in the first place, but God has saved you for a time such as this. See, you might if you had never messed up and got away from God, you know what? You might not ever sing it this way, but there are redemption. Everybody's been covered in the blood. How many knows the blood hasn't lost any power? You might not understand why you went through the storm that put you out of church in the first place. But as you stood here today and God told me to tell you, it's because of your obedience that revivals came to your whole family. You know what? God has saved you for a time such as this. It don't matter what everybody else thinks. It don't matter what anybody that tells you if you mess up, you're going to hell, it's wrong. And you know what? They need to get back in the order themselves. Because if you think that you can live without the grace of God, if you think you can get to that place that you'll never sin no more, you better hit the altar fast. Because every day that I wake up, I need the blood of Jesus. Every day that I go to sleep, I need the grace of God. It was the moments that took you to a place that you probably didn't understand. Did you understand what made you get out of that? Or get back to it? Did something happen that you didn't understand? Maybe you understand today. Because for everything there's a season and a purpose. You see, mine and her marriage wasn't going to make it anyway. At that moment. I asked her, is it okay? It wasn't. Am I embarrassing? It's all over. Everybody knows about it anyway. I'm just simply saying, Brother Jim, our marriage wasn't going to make it anyway. But the plus of it is she left and God allowed her to leave so the church wouldn't go through that reputation. And the beauty of it is because we love God so much, when she came back, what did we make you feel like? And now, how many more people can we help? The testimony that me and her can go to the same church together. It's an awesome testimony. It's an awesome character of God's love placed upon the church. Now fix the close. Romans 8th chapter, back at the 8th chapter. If you're under the sound of my voice and you're going through something that has led you away from God, all you got to do is come back to Him. Oh, how God loved the soul. You know why our church is filling up today? It's because when you mention my name, that reputation will fall. And it would have if God hadn't allowed it to happen. Wow, how God loved us. Romans 8, chapter 35th verse. It said, who shall separate us? Everybody listen to me now. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall tribulation, or distress, or persecution, or famine, or nakedness, or peril, or sword? 36th verse says, as it is written, for thy sake we are killed all the day long. We are accounted as sheep for the slaughter. Nay, in all things, all these things, we are more than conquerors through Him that loved us. For I am persuaded that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of God, which is in Christ Jesus our Lord. And if somebody's hurt you today, the one thing, the me and Dana done fixed all that hurt a long time ago, but we still didn't understand what happened. She might have been, I might have been too hard to listen, I don't know. But do you know how exciting it was to understand finally why we had to go through everything that we went through? The church house wouldn't be full almost to capacity today if the shoes had been on the other feet. Do you understand that? Do you understand how much God loved me and her, and not only us, you guys? Do you know why? And I'm stressing it, because I want the devil to know. Do you know why you sit in the house of salvation today, and we at this moment in time? It's because God allowed things to happen perfectly to put us and save us for a time such as this. And if anybody's hurt you today, you must forgive them. 1 John 4:18 verses says, "For there is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out fear, because fear hath torment. He that feareth is not made perfect in love." We love Him because He first loved us. You see, at that moment in time, Brother Mark, about 8 years ago, I thought God had forsaken me. A grown man sitting in his bedroom crying like a baby saying, "God, why? God, why?" I didn't feel His love at the moment. I didn't understand. All I could do was just try. Thank God that I had enough faith to keep on and not give up. But I pushed on. I pushed on. But I was like, "God, why have you forsaken me?" Maybe He's ever been there. I just don't understand. But I promise you one thing, with your understanding, because the Bible says, "For we know that all things," this is where the trust factor's got to come. I know I'm not preaching and shouting happy today. That's fine. But the Bible says, "For we know that" what? Half the things we go through are for our good. I didn't want to say it. All things work together for our good to those who are called according to His purpose. When you're going through hell, don't try to understand. Just love God. When you don't have no answers for why you're going through hell, don't worry about it. Just trust God. Because He said that we are more in all these things, that we are more than conquerors through Christ who loved us. You can stand in your feet today. I wanted to preach something else today. I wanted to preach something to make you shout and happy, but I want you to understand something today. God had a plan when He did what He did. He had a plan. And you know what makes me so happy? The devil thought that he won, Brother Jerry. Brother Mike, guess what? We still here. He's still here. And as far as I'm concerned, I got no reason to quit. I got no reason to turn around. Because now I understand, Brother Dion, the reason why it happened is because God loved us so much. Isn't that a beautiful story? It was been so easy then for the situation to be turned. You may not have understood why. That you was the scapegoat, I guess. God had a plan. Isn't that wonderful? And if you're under the sound of my voice today and you're going through something, and the heavy load is so hard to carry, the altar's open. Going through some hurt today, and you don't understand why. Brother Chris, don't worry about it. Oh, come on. This altar's open.